So you were at the pet store and you saw this beautiful betta fish swimming around in a little cup. So cute. Gotta have it, right? So you buy the thing, bring it home, and great, now you have a fish.
But wait, bettas can't live in a little bowl forever. You need a real tank, even for cheap fish like bettas or goldfish. It might live for a week or two in the bowl you brought it home in, but that's kind of the equivalent of keeping your dog in a closet. That's no way to treat your new best friend.
My name's Safine, and today I'm going to show you how to set up a freshwater fish tank.
I had lots of aquatic pets as a kid, but when COVID hit, I really got carried away. I now have 17 freshwater fish tanks with over 100 species of plants, fish, and other animals. I ended up getting a job at Neptune Aquatics, which is the San Francisco Bay Area's largest aquarium supply store. One of my fish tanks even ended up on the NASDAQ billboard once, totally by accident, but still pretty cool.
So let's get started setting up a new home for this cute little betta fish.
First off, choose your tank and your stand. Tanks come in many different shapes and sizes, but in general, you want to get the biggest fish tank you possibly can. This will keep your fish healthy and happy and make it a lot easier to clean. If you can't afford to buy a new tank right now, look around your house for extra large glass jars or other containers that might make a good temporary home. Fish tanks 10 gallons and under can usually be put on top of regular household furniture. Anything bigger than that, you want to make sure that whatever you're using for a stand is extra strong. Avoid furniture that might tip over if you bump into it. The stand I'm going to use today is really unstable, so I'm just going to have to upgrade to something better later. The second thing we need to do is add the substrate to the bottom of your tank. Don't leave the bottom of your tank bare glass. It might look nice now, but it gets dirty really fast. The substrate also gives a home to beneficial bacteria that'll help filter the water and keep your fish healthy. The most common substrate choices would be gravel, sand, or aqua soil for planted tanks. If you're on a budget, I recommend children's play sand for sandboxes and playgrounds. You can get some at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's usually a good idea to wash the substrate, especially if you're using sand or something that might have dust on it. Rinse as many times as needed until the water stops being cloudy. You can skip this step if you want to, but it might take longer for the water in your tank to look crystal clear. Today, I'm using a combination of black sand and aqua soil that I got from a fish store. I recommend 1 to 3 inches of substrate depending on how big your tank is. The third thing we need to do is add the water to the fish tank. The type of sand I got is not supposed to be washed, so if I pour it in the water right away, it's gonna get really cloudy. You don't have to do this, but using a plastic bag can really help in cases like this. Lay the bag on top of the substrate and gently pour water on top. I'm using 50% tap water and 50% RODI, which stands for reverse osmosis deionized water. I got mine from a fish store, but you can also use bottled distilled water from the grocery store. You can skip this step and just use 100% tap water, but I live in an area with really bad water quality, so that's why I'm using RODI. If you do go buy RODI or distilled water, don't use 100% of it for your tank. It's too pure and will make your fish really sick. Half tap water and half RODI is usually about right. Once the tank is full, carefully remove the plastic bag from the bottom. Next, you gotta add the water dechlorinator, such as Seachum Prime or API tap water conditioner. If you can't get this, you can make your own dechlorinated water by letting it sit in a bucket for 1 or 2 days. The chlorine will naturally evaporate out. Your fish will probably be okay in its tiny cup for another day or 2. Lastly, add a bottle of beneficial bacteria. You can get this at a fish store or online. These bacteria basically eat fish poop and help turn it back into clean water. As a matter of fact, the whole point of your filter is just to provide a home for these bacteria to live and to flow the dirty water through so that they can do their job. Technically speaking, you can skip the bottle of bacteria because it'll eventually grow naturally, but if you can get it, do. I didn't happen to have any when I brought my fish home, so I'm just gonna take the risk and monitor the water quality very carefully.
Fourth, we're gonna set up our heater, lights, and filter.
Let's start with the filter, which is the most important component of your tank. You should get a filter that's rated for double the amount of gallons your tank actually has. I recommend sponge filters because they're easy to clean, very efficient, and usually don't break. Bettas are tropical fish, so a heater is necessary to have one. Next is the light. You can just use a desk lamp if you're in a pinch. And you're also going to need a multiple adapter and maybe an extension cord. Fifth and almost finally, we're going to add our hardscape and decorations. This could include plants, wood, rocks, plastic decorations that you would buy at a fish store. Don't use random things from your house or your yard. They might be bad for your fish. If you want to know more, Google it before trying it. For plants, I've got some crypts, an anubias, some moss, and a banana plant. Don't put the fish in until you're done. I made the video out of order, so that's why she's in the tank. Here's a little piece of chala wood that I pulled out of a different tank. Be careful of fake plants. Some of them are too sharp for your betta fish's fins and they could get hurt. The air bubbler on this filter is a little bit too noisy. So I'm gonna put a clothespin on the hose so that it's just a little bit squeezed.
It's almost fish time.
It's recommended to let the heater soak for at least an hour before turning it on. If your fish came in a bag, you should float it in the tank water for at least 20 minutes to let the temperature equalize. If it came in a cup, you can replicate this by pouring the fish with the water into a large sandwich bag. Then you can float that instead.
Now it's time for our sixth and final step, putting the fish in the tank.
If your net is too big to fit in the bag, get a bucket and rest the net on top of the opening. Then pour the fish into the net and take her to her new tank. And there you go! Your fish will thank you for a lifetime. Next time you impulse buy a fish, you'll know exactly what to do. 1. Choose your tank and stand. 2. Prepare the substrate. 3. Add and condition the water. 4. Set up your heater, filter, and light. 5. Add hardscape and decorations. And 6. Add the fish. Good job on your new freshwater fish tank. My name's Safine, and I'll catch you later, fishes!